Good evening, friends. My name's Justin. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I play guitar on songs in Nashville, and most of the time I play in a studio, much like the one in the thumbnail that was just demolished. And you know, that's Omnisound Studios. It's located in Midtown in Nashville, Tennessee. It's right next to Red Door, which is a popular bar. It's really close to Music Row, kind of just Music Row adjacent. You know, you could walk to the Union on your lunch break and pick up checks. I mean, we're still old school. We use checks. Writers could write at their publishing company, at Warner or Sony or whatever, and walk to Omni to cut their songs. I mean, it was just kind of in the middle of it, you know? And Nashville has changed so much over the last 12 years or so. And it seemed like Omni was just standing proudly against all that change and saying, nope, we're not going to sell. We're not going to do it. Not going to do it. And so this massive hotel goes up behind it that's several stories high. And you end up seeing like this big development all around this little plot of land. And it was kind of the studio version of the little old lady who would not sell her home because it was her home. And so some massive developer built some giant building that went all the way around it on three sides. That's literally that's literally the situation at Omni. So that picture was posted by one of the former house engineers, now freelance, Josh Emmons, who's amazing. Give him a call if you need him. So is Rory Rositas. Both of those guys were just staples at Omni. Like I would walk in and I would know that one of those two were running the session, you know, and they knew their API console in and out. They knew the room. They could always get good sounds. Omni, it seems like it was built 50, 60 years ago and then never updated. I think they painted the lounge once. You know, all the videos on my feed, if you go to my page and look at my videos, the ones where I'm sitting there at a studio and there's like some giant foam block behind me that has my speaker cab in it, and I'm playing with cans and there's like dirty drop down ceiling behind me, you know, it just kind of looks like I'm in a closet. That's Omni. And it had this really lovable kind of grungy kitsch about it that we all really liked. It was just a great place to work. I have many great memories there. And they finally sold. And the last session, like I said, the last session was in February. They had a big gear sale. I didn't buy any of their gear, but it sat for a few months. And now they just started demolishing it. And man, the picture, it's just like, I can see the spot that I literally sat. Like that's where my chair was, like kind of right under the end, off the end of that excavator. And it's gone forever. And this is not new. This is a recent thing in Nashville where we are tearing down places that have a lot of history, that are very beloved by people who can't afford to buy them to save them. I certainly couldn't afford to buy Omni to try to save it, you know. There are development deals happening in Nashville that are just sort of edging out some of the uniqueness of Nashville, right? Down the street from Omni, the exact same streets on Division Avenue in Midtown, there was a bar called Soulshine Pizza. They used to host Lightning 100's Nashville Sunday nights at the bar. And there was like sort of an open roof stage with a small venue, and local artists and new artists could play there, and their stuff would be broadcast on Lightning 100. It was pretty awesome. And before I was doing a bunch of sessions, I would go play gigs at that bar. And it was a great place. You know, there was winners and losers right down the street, and there would be live music events there. Well then, as Nashville starts changing and all these condos go up, I mean, our skyline looked like just a bunch of cranes. You know, I think I counted 21 of them at one point, driving from my house to Music Row for work. That's crazy. But I just remember a bunch of people moving to Nashville because they thought, hey, this is a cool place, I want to live here. And then complaining about the music at Soulshine Pizza because they bought a condo that was a block away or whatever, and they didn't want to hear it. And so they got it shut down. And that just kind of seems like what's happening. Like people are either cashing in, which I'm not going to blame anybody who's sitting on a gold mine, you know, in terms of real estate, and they could make a life-changing amount of money for themselves, their kids, whatever. Like I get it. We're just at that point, we're past the point in Nashville, it's been happening for a while, where some of these cool places that formed kind of the identity of the city, you know, as Music City, are just being shut down. They're just being shut down and sold and then redeveloped into something that makes that spot, wherever that thing stood, look like every other downtown and midtown and like hip district in every other city in America. And that is unfortunate. I don't like that. I don't want to go from city to city to city and see the exact same things, the same brands, the same mega developers taking over all these areas or whatever. I get it. Lots of cities would love to have our problem with bustling tourism and lots of people moving here. Speaking of people moving here, we literally, pre-COVID, for 2 years straight, 2018 and 2019, we averaged 100 people a day. That's 35,000 people a year moving to Nashville. And, you know, I got here in 2006. It was a very sleepy, small city, just very friendly, laid back. The pace was a third of what it is now. It's like everybody's hustling. And if you can hustle, you can do well, right? Lots of opportunity here. So I get it, you know. Just seeing some of these studios go down, it's kind of like, does this spell is this the beginning of the end of tracking, you know, of a vibrant and bustling session scene where there's a dozen bands cutting a dozen different projects at the same time? I don't even know if that's still happening, that many at once. I mean, Omni wasn't the first. There was the Tracking Room right off of I-40 into Montbrion, less than a mile from Omni. Like you could walk from one place to the other. The Tracking Room sold for over $1 million. It's massive, okay? And some of its booths have audio plugins made based on the sound of those rooms, which is really cool. I haven't worked there in forever. The place has just sat. Somebody bought it in order to develop it into something else, but didn't realize, this is kind of amazing, they didn't realize that there is a 40-foot concrete footer underneath that studio. It's literally right beside I-40. So they dumped a bunch of money. I mean, concrete was a lot cheaper back then. They dumped a bunch of money to float the entire building so that you could not hear I-40 or feel any vibrations from it that would be picked up by really sensitive mics. Because, you know, mics can be ultra sensitive. Especially if you're playing acoustic. Pro tip, keep your mouth closed. The click will, your mouth will act like a speaker with the metronome click in your headphones, and you will be projecting it straight into the microphone. So track acoustic, breathing through your nose. One pro tip there. So the Tracking Room has just sat and nothing has happened. Legends was a very small, also kitschy, kind of like Omni, beloved studio where we cut all sorts of records and all sorts of demos, and there was just a regular thing happening there. That's gone. That sold to I think a dentistry that never used it. Now the building's just sitting. There was a place called the Shoebox that I really liked off of Nolensville. A little bit off the beaten path. It's not, you know, most of our studios are in Music Row and Berry Hill. The Shoebox sold. It's gone. They had an awesome little Neve console in there. Really cool little indie spot. Great sounds. No more. no more at all. And then the place where I got my start, I mean, they would pull songs in from Europe and independent writers from all over the world, just bizarre songs sometimes, and sometimes really bad. This was called Studio 515 in Berry Hill, and it's gone. It's sold. It's now an audio company. It seems like for the indie artist with an indie budget, you're running out of options for a decent priced room that sounds great, that can track a full band in Music Row or Berry Hill. I don't know that there's anything around Music Row that fits that criteria. Omni was it. And when I say a decent rate, it was like, I don't even remember, I think it was $250 or something for a 3-hour session, plus the engineering fee, like extremely reasonable. The studios that I think will take the bulk of the work that Omni had, that level of budget kind of stuff, will be Pentaveret, probably. Fantastic room. And my buddy Bobby Holland runs it. He's the one who built the monitors that I use. And then Station West has been there in Berry Hill forever. My favorite thing about Station West is that the drums are in a different room. I can just not worry about loud noises when I'm loading in or setting up, when I'm tracking. I'll use other headphones than my, where are they? They're on the floor. These guys. These are they're basically earmuffs that you would run a jackhammer with, okay? They're made by Peltor. You can find them at like Home Depot. There's a guy who cuts them open and wires in the guts of a set of Sony drivers. So these are called Ultraphones. They're my favorite studio cans. I can sit next to a drummer with these on, and then when he's done with his pass, I don't have to change my mix at all because these isolate my ears from the drum sounds in the room so well. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about Omni and tell you guys that it's a little bit frustrating seeing stuff like this happen, but I totally get it. It's just bittersweet, you know. I'm happy for the people that are able to change their lives with the amount of money they're able to sell some things for. It hurts. It's a little bit of a gut punch seeing what it's going to turn into. I'm never going to forget, you know, that Omni was there. That was a place where I made a lot of great records with my friends, where my kids have come and hung out, you know, on a session and mostly sat quietly in the corner. So anyway, I will link to some of my favorite videos that I've made at Omni, and I've got some other things coming. There's a record that I produced that I want to promote a little bit on my channel, and they filmed some B-roll at Omni, and it's really cool for me to see, so I'll share that with y'all. If you search my name and Omni, there will be several videos pop up, because sometimes I would just put my phone on the music stand in front of me and play, and it was so fun because my amp is right behind me and I could really get this cool controlled feedback. Most of the time my cab is in a closet or isolated from my guitar, you know. Not at all Omni. So, all right. Well, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Yeah, let me do that one more time. I will go through the bridge like that. I like that one. Thank you.